Hey guys, nice to see you all here. We are still plenty of group left. We are speaking here with Minna and Vasilii, who will get to introduce themselves about current landscape, B2C and marketing. My name is Heikki Koivula. I'm Legal Gaming Senior iGaming Compliance Advisor. And I will let you guys introduce.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Vasilii Gamov. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at RichAds at Tech Holding. We have push pops in page native traffic all over the world. So I will be here on the side of marketing. It's quite tricky in Finnish market, but still we can discuss it. So that's about me.
Good afternoon, everybody. So those of you who were not here earlier, my name is Minna Ripatti. I'm the founding partner of Legal Gaming Attorneys at Law. So obviously, my view regarding this panel will be, I would say, from the risk perspective, and I will also give a little bit of background what the situation is currently in Finland. Maybe I will start by saying a few words about the current system in Finland. So as most of you know, in Finland we have a monopoly system in place, which means that Veikkaus is currently the only operator which can legally operate and market gambling services in Finland. And obviously when I'm talking about gambling services, it covers, casinos, slots, sports betting, and in terms of Veikkaus, even they cannot do everything. So it's at the moment very, very restricted, the whole landscape concerning marketing in Finland.
We love talking about the services that are used by many affiliates, so now there will be no more advertising, but advice. We will talk about the virtual card service EPN.net. When working with different topics on websites such as Facebook and Google, it is very important to have high quality consumables, and maps are an important element in this bundle. Many of our partners have been using this service for a long time. The guys approach their work very well. They offer maps from different countries that are suitable for any advertising platform. The cards themselves are issued instantly in unlimited quantities. It is possible to issue cards completely free of charge, with the minimum commission for replenishment and without services fee. It is very convenient. If your account is blocked, just close the card and open a new one quickly and cheaply. Such services make your work very easy, but always use only reliable or recommended partners. Choice of the day is the EPN.net service, because the guys really care about your budgets providing quality services. We'll leave a link in the description. Go ahead, register and start working.
Exactly, that is. So what we have to discuss here is some cases which happens in part of marketing. Probably the Betsson case, maybe we can mention it.
Yeah, maybe I can kind of go back to what Minna here said, that it's indeed illegal to market and do targeting towards Finns, and this is a bit tricky thing which is interpreted as targeting Finns, like usually obviously Finnish languages, but also there has been cases that it has not been alone enough to consider that this company is targeting. There usually needs to be various factors if you have some campaigns or several items on the list on the table of the Finnish National Police Board, so that they will also interpret that the languages you many times need several items. So you have a campaign, so you use some characters like Finnish sauna or whatever, Santa Claus, or like, so it needs to be a combination usually. And there has been cases like the Betsson case, what you mentioned, from the which was a very good point. Betsson received 2.4 million conditional fine, and Betsson basically, I don't obviously work in marketing, but if you have a, let's say, palette of 25 different marketing measures, Betsson was pretty much doing all of them and pushing all of them, and they were already contacted by the Finnish National Police Board. So this is how the situation led so far, that they were made kind of the big case that was historic conditional fine, what they got. And Minna is clearly adding something, so please.
So basically how it works in Finland, it's not illegal for the players to play on the foreign sites, and as Heikki mentioned, or as I'm trying to elaborate my own words. You know, the sole availability of the website and internet players playing there, that's fine. But when it comes to the targeting, then it comes illegal and problematic. So in Finland, I would summarize it like this: that the National Police Board has been or taken a more active approach, you know, starting from 2021. I think that was the year when they really started looking at, let's say, operators, also affiliates, and now we had a legislative change which entered into force not that long time ago, which also, you know, made it possible for them to also look at the private individuals who are illegally marketing casinos. So now they have also opened cases against streamers, for instance. But operators. Cases like Betson. I think I said 2 years ago when I was speaking, I don't remember in which event, I think I said that, you know, already based on the cases that we had pending in Finland, I said to some people that, look, that we are gonna have an example case in Finland, and it's gonna be, you know, one of those casinos which have, you know, a significant market share concerning the Finnish online market. So I'm not, you know, in any way surprised that we have the Betson case now. I think there could have been other opportunities also, you know, which could have been the first one. So it really didn't come as a surprise. I think from the MPP's perspective, they wanted to have an example case which would, you know, potentially, let's say, raise the attention of other, you know, operators that, look, you can't do this, or you will, you know, get this, you know, prohibition order and potentially a conditional fine. Now, obviously, the Betson case, it's not a done deal yet, since they appealed regarding the prohibition order conditional fine and there was an interim decision made by the court concerning the actual, you know, current situation. So now it's still pending in the courts, and there are, you know, still, well, it's hard to evaluate, you know, how long it will take, but obviously, you know, the court system is not the fastest instance usually to, you know, handle situations like this. So I think 6 to 12 months is something like, if I say a high level estimate, what we are gonna see regarding them. So Betson case, obviously there have been, you know, other cases opened against operators as well. I can't really go into details regarding you know, the cases, but I would say that now how many cases do we have pending against operators? I think it will be maybe 5. If I say rough estimate based on what I now immediately, you know, get in my mind. Some of those cases have been closed since the operators have, you know, taken certain measures requested by the National Police Board concerning marketing and advertising. Yes, so we have the operator cases, but we also have cases against, as I said, affiliates and streamers. Who are, you know, targeting obviously Finland through various, you know, kind of marketing measures. And then when we speak about targeting, you know, it really gets, you know, interesting what is actually, you know, considered targeting. But yeah.
Vasilii, what do you think about the very strict approach of that all the market measures, all the market targeting is completely illegal? Is this fair inside EU?
It's a tricky question because, as you mentioned, it's kind of a monopoly in Finland. But at the same time, there are, I checked it just yesterday, around 2,000 casinos with Finnish language, which means there is a big market, offshore market, which works with Finnish people. And I'm sure it's not like all of them work with immigration or with browser language or with any other targets which are allowed to target Finnish audience outside of Finland. Unfortunately, or luckily, it depends on the side where you are. there are casinos who still works with Finnish market and who target them. Someone do it in like a hard way, choosing targets in Finland, in Google Ads or Facebook or TikTok, whatever. There are ways to do it, unfortunately, but there are. So, on the other hand, there are affiliates who works with SEO, with websites. So that means they add these casinos with Finnish localization, and they have traffic from all over the world. For sure, I think there are some part of Finnish audience which is in immigration, but for sure there is part of Finnish audience which is in Finland. This is the first point. The second point, yes, you can use IP segmentation and protect your users from Finnish IPs, but nowadays all of us have VPN services, so it's not effective also. And this strict regulation means that there is a big market, offshore markets, and affiliates work with it, and operators work with it. What we saw with Betson case, it's like a signal to clarify your processes, to clean your marketing campaigns, and to ask for help companies like yours to make it more clean.
I think that's a very, good comment.
Especially the last one.
Yes, exactly, like cleaning up, and reviewing the marketing. So you said the Finnish language. Obviously, when we are talking about marketing, language is one of the, points that the MPP is looking at, but they're looking at the big picture. And it's not only the language. And if you have a Finnish language casino site available, online, that's not the problem alone. It's okay. But when you combine that, with the marketing elements, then it comes, problematic. So the language alone, it's not a problem. It's problematic when you combine it. And now this argument that you said, that, or kind of like indicated that targeting things outside Finland, that's something that the MPP, obviously has considered in its, administrative cases, etc. But they're not really buying the argument, since Finland is a rather small country. Most of the people speak Finnish in Finland, so it's not like friends or another like a global language which is obviously spoken in several countries and different continents.
That what we discussed with Heikki during the lunch. There is part of immigration, about 1 million Finnish audience live abroad, in Sweden, in US, in Canada. So there is, but also if we talk about marketing, there is like a list of rules which you need to follow if you work for, I would say, immigrants from Finland. You shouldn't use celebrities, you shouldn't use some common Finnish culture with saunas, what you mentioned, for sure, with forests, with some houses like in the countryside. So it should look like campaigns not for Finnish market but for a broad market, and this is like one of the biggest points in connection with what you told us.
Do you think anyone would like to spend their marketing budget for such a campaigns in Finnish language, design them, publish them, which cannot be displayed in Finland for Finns? What do you think? As a marketing?
Global Finnish offer.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think the global Finnish offer, would it be a big success? I don't know much about marketing.
That's a funny question for sure. To be honest, no. I'm not sure it will be success. You can try it because there is a part of audience. You can make some money with it. It's not as big as if you run campaigns in Finland, for sure. But we're here probably to look for some possible ways still to work with Finnish audience abroad, and just imagine some ways what we can do in current law system. So this is the ways we have, and for sure the whole market is waiting for changes, for new licenses which are coming in 2026, if I'm right. So till this period there are brands for sure, unfortunately, like some offshore brands from Caribbean, who will like don't care at all about these government processions and so on. But there are still big brands with legalization in European Union, in other countries, and who would like to work legal. And here we go to the part that during these 3 years or 2 years, you need to prepare your brand not to get fines or restrictions or anything, to prepare your brand to get the local like licenses.
Obviously, there's plenty of operators, and each and every operator have their different, let's say, risk tolerance. So we have companies which don't want to take any risk whatsoever. We have companies who are willing to take risks, and there are obviously several issues which are behind their assessment of the risk level that they're willing to take. If it's a big listed company who is, for instance, applying licenses in US, etc., other countries, they may think that doing something questionable in Finland could potentially lead to a court case, and if they would have a court case pending or administrative process, this wouldn't really look nice when you are, let's say, applying for license in another country. So they have this perspective. Then we have casinos who are taking other type of risk management measures to try to engage the Finnish players and audience and kind of like test where the line is that they shouldn't, let's say, go over. So definitely, yeah.
And you mentioned also one interesting point about that you work not only with operators but with affiliates also, even with streamers. Here we should mention something that fines are quite different, about 5 million for operators and about 40,000 euros for an affiliate if he works like a single affiliate. Am I right? Something like that? I'm not sure. Anyway, this is not the point. The point is it possible to share any knowledge about why there are some processes in court about affiliates and what should they to avoid in their campaigns? As you mentioned celebrities, as you mentioned Finnish culture, what else? Do you have anything in mind?
There actually has been affiliates, single individual persons who do affiliate marketing, let's say like streamers. There has been actually court sentences as well, and the main reason why they can actually be reached to the court is that they have been doing it from Finland. So they are residing in Finland and they know that they are breaking the Finnish law. So imagine what happens if you publicly, with that everybody can see it, you are breaking the law. But then it's a different case that if you live elsewhere than in Finland and you are doing exactly the same thing, it's quite hard to put it to enforce it. Yeah, it's very hard to get you because it's even hard to reach you. So because you're not most likely sharing your contact details, and also you cannot call to Maltese police that hey, go to get this guy for like white mine or thing to the Finnish court. This doesn't work out. So this is why there actually has been some court cases. Did you want to add something more?
Well, obviously, the enforcement question, is something that is always related to, when we are talking about, let's say, illegal or allegedly illegal advertising in Finland. So the enforcement question and what is enforceable, in another country. That's, obviously one of the, views that you shouldn't, forget. In terms of affiliates, streamers, it really depends about your business. If you are like fully and solely concentrated on Finland, and you will get, let's say a request for clarification from the MBB, it gets difficult since, it's quite clear that you are, like after the Finns. If you have, let's say, global, affiliate side or global business, then for sure, if you, for instance, order risk assessment from us, so then for sure, we can give some tips and analyze, the situation and explain how the process works in real life, if you get a letter from the MBB.
So Vasilii, since you are the correct me if I'm wrong, but mid large size companies, chief marketing, I don't know how you categorize, 150 employees, so is it
150?
Yeah, so it's large then, right, technically?
Kinda.
And you're the chief marketing, so obviously you are always gonna say no for these requests, but I'm curious to know that have you received any request from casino operators who would like to use your help to reach Finnish audience?
Such a tricky question for the recording. We don't allow this. Yeah, requests for sure. I know there is like a big demand on such campaigns. I'm aware of that a lot of affiliates, I wouldn't tell the names, I don't know them. Imagine I just saw it on the internet somewhere. A lot of them run campaigns on Google Ads, on Facebook, targeting Finland, targeting Finnish language. It's illegal, but there is like enormous market for it. I'm not sure that strict regulations is good for this. I mean, when you go with monopoly, when you go with strict regulations, it's always like that. Not only in iGaming, in any industry. So the idea here is to add more freedom, I would say, on the Finnish market, and that is where we go now with Finnish market.
What are you talking about? Wild West.
No. I'm talking about legalizations, about, of course, acting by law. But I mean, there shouldn't be a monopoly because there are players who play in Finland with this one casino brand, but there is a big amount of players who play offshore right now.
Actually, very interesting fact to add there that the current monopoly company Veikkaus, who's vice president of business development we happen to have here, just stated earlier that reminded that actually in Finland, even for them, regardless of them being the monopoly operator, the slot marketing is completely illegal, even for the monopoly operator. So basically, if we would go with the same legislation but just taking more operators and keep it as it is, it would still be illegal because it's also for them illegal.
Yeah, as we spoke earlier, during the first panel, and I said that, most likely when we start the drafting process concerning the new law, we are going to be looking at the existing marketing, restrictions. So if that is the basis that we are looking at, then that's exactly the case, what Heikki just said.
Yes, because there is a big market share for these illegal companies right now. What is a good idea to do, up to my personal opinion for sure, is to legalize it, to put taxations on it, to put responsible gaming parts to it, and make it white finally. Why not? So what do you think is the future for Finnish market right now? Any predictions maybe?
That's a very tricky question, but since our scope is here, like the marketing and B2C, so there's like here stated many times, two licenses. B2C is going to be betting and online gaming, the casino side, and regarding marketing, that's a very tricky question because Finland there has been now speak from very strict measures, but then also a lot of emphasis on point of channelization rate. And if you basically forbid everything, make high taxation, nobody wants the license. So what's the idea of the license? Because it's only going to be offshore operators. You need to have license which is attractive. But then again, I'm not from the marketing side, so I don't know how we should restrict that. Like what would be the right kind of the line? Because there are Finland looks now, Sweden and Denmark, and I don't really know what's the level of restriction which is still okay and which is not. Maybe you have a word.
I think there will be obviously a long discussion. And now when Heikki said that some of the people involved in the process of preparing the new law would be pro marketing prohibition, and then the others are coming completely from the other side. I think in the end we are going to be somewhere in the between. So, and that's also, you know, how it should be, and I hope it will be, but I think that should be the goal.
Yeah, I totally agree with this opinion. And what I have to add, when we see strict regulations, not only in Finland but on other markets, when you regulate like the amount of bet, the amount of money you can spend for casino per month or per week, as we see in Finland and in some other markets, what we see, the legal part of business, the legal casino operators, they starting to get less profit, less players, and all these players go to offshore iGaming companies, to offshore operators, and I hope some of them have good attitude to their customers, but there are some who don't have it. So what they do with such actions, with really strict actions, I mean, they ruin the community about iGaming, they ruin people's lives, maybe even, why not? So for sure, for every country, for every government, for every society and community, there will be a specific way for this culture and for this nation. But in general, the general advice not to make it too strict, because when something is too strict, it's started with offshores, gray area, black markets, and so on.
Okay, do we have anything else in mind?
Any questions?
How do you foresee it playing out with operators, let's take Betson as an example, who may or may not be fined? How do you think that will impact their future success in applying for a license?
So, you are asking basically about the cooling off. So, again, a preliminary report came out in April. They did mention the cooling off there, referring to the Netherlands, and I think it's logical that they are referring to the Netherlands because Netherlands was one of the most recent countries who actually had this kind of setup in place. Also, they're a European country. The whole idea of a bad actor clause, it's nothing new. We have seen it in other countries as well. So the report did mention the cooling off, but the report also, it listed various suggestions regarding marketing, taxation, everything. So that is kind of like the guideline. Whether we are gonna see an actual cooling off in Finland, it's still open. All the details are still open, and I think cooling off is one of the topics that will be heavily discussed. The industry, I would say, is against it. And I think, for instance, the Trade Association for Online Gambling, they will, raise on the table issues regarding competition, etc. Now, hypothetically or in theory, if we would, this is my personal opinion, if we would see some sort of a, cooling off in Finland, first of all, I would imagine that it would be max 12 months. And then, it would be tied. I don't know if we can actually speak about cooling off, or if we should be actually talking about whether you are eligible or suitable for, receiving a license or applying for a license when you have a court case or administrative process pending in that particular country. So that's like my, 5 points regarding the topic at the moment. So I think this could potentially be the perspective that we should be looking at this, whole topic regarding the cooling off. So in that case, if you would have, for instance, administrative process pending in Finland when the licensing window opens, then it would mean that at least, as long as you have the case pending, you would not be, able to receive the license.
I'm gonna cut it short. I'm gonna say that I don't hear this question for cooling off. I'm gonna skip the cooling off part and say that think about when you apply for a license, if your director has a criminal record. They're gonna reject, they're gonna say that no, you cannot use director. So think about if the company has open court case, which is not solved yet if it's gonna be sentenced or not. Obviously, before that, you are not reliable applicant. And now they're going to play time. So before we find out how it's gonna end up, most likely they're gonna say that no, this applicant is not suitable. We don't know because you have a very much publicity that you have a court case open. So I believe it might very well. Obviously, I'm not gonna claim that I know what's gonna happen, but if you think about it, if your director has a criminal record, it's gonna be directly rejected. So I would like take a little bit simpler approach if we talk about exactly Betso, but if we talk about some other companies like who have cases with the National Police Board, most likely if there is gonna be some milder restrictive measures taken, like than cooling off, those companies are of course going to be the first on the lines because Police Board has an open record. That's not gonna go anywhere. Even if the case is closed, they're gonna have the company name there. So if you want to restrict some companies, this will obviously be, at least in my opinion, it's quite obvious it's going to be the first in line. And Betso right now just happens to be the one which is quite clearly like on pretty much top of that pile.
Other questions?
I wasn't here from the beginning, but I have a question because I've heard the part when you were saying that the license should be and the regulation should be somewhere in between. I've been working for an operator in my previous experience that was operating in Finland with the Estonian license. Then I've been working for an operator that is operating in Finland with the MGA license. And I can tell you that the player's behavior actually is not that changed based on the regulations because Finnish players have the culture of considering gambling as a form of entertainment. They're not that affected from responsible gambling issues like players from other countries because it's different from players from other countries. They're more affected than that. So in my opinion, I completely agree with you when we speak about the license, it should be restrictive, but not as restrictive maybe as SGA or as UKGA, maybe UKGC, maybe somewhere in between. So somewhere in between Estonia and UKGC, something like that, would perfectly fit for the Finnish market from what I have seen from my personal experience so far, and the players' behavior. I hope I understood correctly what you were saying.
I think that's an excellent comment. Like it really depends. Like the responsible gambling aspect is extremely important, but it really has a huge impact on the system if we are going to draft it fully from the perspective of a person who has a serious gambling problem, somewhere in the between, or somebody who is for the pure joy, sometimes playing lotto, for instance.
Okay, anything else? Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.